So in this video, we're looking at how you can use Google Sheets as a single document for a whole class to work on. And thanks go to a colleague of mine, Nathan Church, for giving me this opportunity to have a play around with it based on his template and then think about how we could take it to the next level. So what I've done here, I've created a Google Sheet and I've just inserted the names of my students down the left-hand side here. And then what I've done here is I've set them a do now task. So the students, as they arrive into the lesson, are given the link to this and it's shared with all of them. So everybody comes on and they find their row and start to answer the questions. And they've put in here a do now answer based on what we learned last lesson. Okay. Then what they can also see here is the success criteria for this lesson. So they know that they're going to be looking at social factors that might affect a retail business, and they can see what they need to do for pass, merit and distinction. So the students have a few minutes as a do now task to add their answers in here. And you can see we can then go through and discuss that and see how well they've recalled what they need to. But then what I've also produced is some other rows. So I've got here hidden, and I can unhide at any point any particular rows that I want to. And in fact, I'm going to hide that row as well, and that row, and in fact, that row. Okay, so I'm only going to show them what I want them to see at any given point. So what we've got here, we've still got the students' names here, and I've frozen the column and I've frozen the top row. So there's a scenario, which is an exam question, and then the question that goes along with it. And what we're asking the students to do is to put their answers. So what they've done is they've gone through and they've put their answers, and then I've put a score down the side here. So the students type their answers in. Obviously, they can see each other's answers going in live, but obviously that gives them the opportunity to kind of consider what other people are saying. The most important thing is obviously that they bear in mind what's in bold here. So once the students have completed their answer, I'll go through and I'll give them a score, and then I can open up those hidden rows, and I can give them the opportunity as well to do some peer feedback. So all I would say here is the person who's at the top row will feedback on this person's. The person here, Garth, will feedback on Shizu, and Shizu, because they're at the bottom, will feedback on Rocky's. So you can see here that on Rocky's one, Shizu down the bottom has given some feedback. They think it's worth a merit, and to get a distinction, they need to talk about positives and negatives. So that's really good feedback based on the success criteria, okay, which is just here, because we need to talk positives and negatives. This one here, the feedback is the answer is the same as Rocky's, which is obviously not appropriate. Now, this is where this comes into its own, and because it's in sheets, not just the revision history, the version history, but the cell history is fantastic. So what I can do here is I can click on this cell and I can go to the edit history for the cell, and it will show me that a student called Darren White, the last edit was at 1654, and they replaced products with things, and they replaced expensive with dearer. Okay, but I've also got a second edit in here when they added in all of that, and that's the first edit. Okay, so basically they've copied and pasted that in from Rocky's answer, and then what they've done is changed it a little bit. So I can make sure that I don't give any credit for that answer. So I might get them to do the feedback first and then give the marks afterwards. But now what the students can do is they've got this option for an improved answer here. So they can type in here how they're going to improve their answer. So they might copy that over, bring it in, and then they might now start to add further information based on the feedback they received. Okay, and you could even get them to do that in a different color font if you wanted to. Okay, and then you would then rescore that. So for argument's sake, the student's going to go on and they're going to add more information in there, so that might be worth a 5. This one decides that they're going to go on and explain a little bit more about income affects it. So they might say that higher income people would be willing to pay more. So then maybe they've clarified it a little bit, but not a lot. So maybe just worth 1 point extra. And then this one here, maybe they rewrite their whole thing, but they miss the point a little bit. Maybe that gets them 2 marks. And you can see what we've got at the bottom as well is a class average originally was 2, and then the updated class average is 3.66, and we can see the students' progress in there. And then the other great thing you can do, if, say, for example, this has been completed and you don't want the students to do any further work on that until next lesson, you can simply come down to the bottom here and protect the sheet, decide to choose the whole sheet and set those permissions temporarily so that only you can edit and other people can't. Okay, so you can set it as only you until such time as you want to release it again. And you can come back in next lesson, again, open it up, change the permissions, and then make it custom, and then decide that you want people to be able to edit again next time round. And that way you control whether they work outside of lesson or not. Okay, give it a try.